Hey everybody, welcome back to Sonic Colors. I'm the Comic Foil. Oh man, there's this like total red ring count that's going to just taunt me. Oh, and like S's. I'm not going to 100% this game, I already said, but we are going to play through it, so let's get back into it. Once again, if you didn't see last time, this is my first time playing Sonic Colors, and looks like we're going to unlock a couple new wisps this time. This one I am quite familiar with. This is the Drill Wisp. Little yellow guy. Oh, right, B then to use the boost. Cool. So, yeah, in the context of this game, right, and what's going on, each of these, like, parks, like the way Disney World has, like, the Magic Kingdom and then, like, Epcot and stuff like that, each of these parks is a planet in a little cluster of planets that Eggman has taken over. Which is probably one of the, if you think about, like, sense of scale, that's probably one of the crazier things Eggman's ever accomplished. They don't seem like they were, you know, super, super technologically advanced planets. I mean, the Wisps are the only people we know of. The only, like, sapient aliens around here. I bet there's an answer to this in, like, Eggman's little, like, intercom announcements, but, like... So was this planet already covered in sweets? Is that, like, the natural topography of the planet? This doesn't actually, like, get us up all that far. That's weird. It's like a very weak spring. But yeah, this, diggable ground. Okay. So we can go straight down into here. Wow, look at all of this cake. Okay, we can break through crates, which is cool. Yeah, I was just trying to get into this area. Nice. Okay, I had some expectations of, like, what this power was like, and I knew that it looked like this, but having played it now, it's a lot less smooth than I was expecting. I was expecting something closer to, like, how the burrowing power works in Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps. Thank you for giving me a new drill power so that I'm not just, like, stuck here in this underground tomb forever. Okay, actual, like, guys shooting at us from the background. Cool, so, let's continue with our Sonic talk here. Yeah, so I was talking a lot about how, so this, what people call the Boost era, because of the boost mechanic. So Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors, this was kind of like Sega's attempt to, like, go in a new direction after Sonic 06 was so poorly received. A lot of people would say Sonic 06 was the end of the quote-unquote adventure era, and this is the Boost era. So in terms of story, you see stories, like, take themselves a little bit less seriously. I'd say that's true more of this game than it was of Unleashed. What was weird about Unleashed was that it also pared down the characters. So by Sonic 06, there were a lot of characters that were just kind of, like, around in Sonic's universe. There was, you know, you got Shadow and Rouge and Omega, and you got Team Chaotix, and of course, the mainstays like Tails, Knuckles, Amy. You got Cream the Rabbit around. You had Blaze the Cat. And it seemed like every successive game was adding new animal characters. Which, you know, with some hindsight, was never really the problem. Like, I know Sonic Heroes doesn't have, like, the most concentrated story, but also Sonic Heroes was kind of trying more to be, like, a throwback, I think. Why are you... Oh, okay, they're Eggman springs, so they're, like, bad for me. That's why they're taking me someplace I don't want to go. Because for the most part, I don't, like, hate any of the Sonic characters. Of course, it was, like, fun to rag on Big because his fishing levels are annoying. But I like the character just fine. And the problem with Sonic 06 wasn't that there were too many characters, it was that just none of the mechanics worked well. So each new character you played as was like a new set of nightmares of like Tails' weird ring bomb collisions and Knuckles getting stuck on walls and... If anything, it did favors for Blaze. I think a lot of people like Blaze even more than they would normally because of Sonic 06, because she's one of the only, like, kind of fun-to-play characters. But then you got, like, Amy with her weird, useless high jump. Oh, man, I got no rings. This is dangerous. It is, with that many characters, it's hard to, like, find what to do with all of them, because it's not like every game can bring back every character then and have them all be playable, unless you're going, like, the Sonic Heroes route where there's really only, like, one playable character, and it's a trio, and it just changes who's in the trio with, like, minor changes, but that doesn't, like... I'm trying to think of how I'm actually trying to say this. Like Shadow the Hedgehog is where it's arguably, like... Shadow the Hedgehog the game is where it's arguably, like, a little bit of, like, too many different characters all in different places. But I guess the fact that you only usually see one at a time would help if that game, you know, was also better written. Like, I think we're at a place now where, like, having more playable characters in a Sonic game is exciting again, and not just, like, having two different versions of Sonic, like in Sonic Generation, but, like, all the character... Yeah, I gotta use my drift more. Like, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy are kind of considered the, like, core Sonic friends to bring back in anything. And they all got playable in the Sonic Frontiers DLC, which I still haven't played Sonic Frontiers. That's one that I'd rather wait until I had a PS5 to, like, get as good of performance as possible. Because that is such, like, a big game, and I feel like it can use all the help processing as it can get. From what I can tell, though, of, like, seeing cutscenes of Sonic Frontiers, I kind of really like what it's doing. I know Ian Flynn was a big part of that game's writing team, too, and it shows. It just kind of, like, treats the plot with respect. Arguably, it finds the best balance between, you know, just being fun and treating the plot seriously. You know, the Adventure era was maybe guilty of a little bit of, like, grimdark, like, more serious than you'd expect from anthropomorphic hedgehogs, but, like, I kind of loved it. Even when I thought it was cringe, I also thought it was great. I just, like, maybe that wasn't the best era for video game voice acting, and especially for, like, video game voice acting, like, sound design. A lot of the cutscenes in Sonic Adventure 2 are made even worse because of, like, how the lines aren't spaced out correctly and, like, sound isn't balanced. So you got, like, you're not even good enough to be my I'll make you eat those words, like... You guys know what I'm talking about. So as far as, oh, cool, I'm gonna unlock a new guy. Is this Rocket? I don't actually know what all the Wisps are supposed to do. As far as my favorite Sonic characters, so my favorite Sonic character is Tails. Because I'm always drawn... When I was young, I was always drawn to those kind of meek sidekick characters who, like, really have to prove themselves. Also, he was, like, the smart one and the techie one, which is, you know, always kind of a character archetype I go for. And Tails isn't really handled the best in every game. There's a lot of cases because, like, the continuity, especially as far as, like, character traits go, the continuity in Sonic games is kind of soft, so, like, you have issues like how Tails, you know, like, basically, like, proves himself without Sonic in Sonic Adventure 2, how, like, he has his big fight against Eggman. I remember this mechanic, they brought it back for Generations. But then, in games way later, they have, like, Tails back to kind of just being, like, Sonic's hanger-on, and I know the one that really bugged people a lot is how in, like, Sonic Heroes, he's, like, kind of just, like, an emotional wreck without Sonic and just, like, incapable of doing anything himself. There's, like, whatever the scene where, like, Zavok is, like, coming up to him and Tails is just, like, in the fetal position hiding. Which I believe Sonic Frontiers even actually, like, addresses. So as far as, like, continuity, what's neat about Sonic Frontiers is that if Sonic Unleashed was kind of like a soft reboot of the continuity where it was going to, like, maybe the stuff in the adventure games happened, but it's not going to matter anymore for this game's story. Sonic Frontiers kind of, like, brings all the continuity back and is like, oh, actually, like, all of this has happened. Like, every Sonic game you've played has mattered in the life of these characters, even if it doesn't matter in this current plot. So they take a lot of, like, cutscenes to kind of, like, have characters reflect on, like, you know, the incredibly long life of adventures they've had in this game series, and I think that's cool. I think that's really rewarding as a Sonic fan. And I think when you're doing something like that, I like Ian Flynn's approach of, like, you know, including all the continuity, even the stuff you don't like. So, like, you know, we may not have liked how Tails acted in Sonic Forces, but we're going to accept that it happened. We're not going to, like, just cut it out of continuity. We're not going to unwrite it just because we don't like it. And we're going to try and explain why it happened and weave that into Tails' character. And I think that's really cool. I mean, I think that's, like, especially in, like, the world of comic book writing, because, you know, comics are a great example of how... Is this supposed to be... Oh, this moves when I stand on the platform. I got it. Comic books are a really great example of, like, what it's like writing for a universe that goes on forever. That, like, eventually you have, like, decades of stories told and they're all supposed to be canon. You know, doubtless in that amount of time there's going to be some things that are like, oh, actually, like, this plot thread is a little bit stupid. Like, that's bound to happen. And I think the best writers moving forward from there accept that that happened and try to work with it rather than... let's say, like, the League of Legends approach, where, like, just every so often, like, oh, we're rewriting this character's backstory and, like, what we had before for it, like, isn't true anymore. Like, I know we said Soraka was the one who cursed Warwick into this form, but now, never mind about that. We're saying that, that Soraka always looked the way she did and Warwick became a werewolf because of, like, a science experiment. Like, that gets really frustrating if you're trying to care about the continuity at all. And I prefer what, like... Star Wars would do this a lot with the prequels, I think. Not so much, I mean, Star Wars also has done the other example where when Disney's bought it, they, like, took all the legends and removed them from canon, for better or for worse. But as far as, like, stuff in the prequels that people didn't like, when they get to then, like, ancillary material like the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that, they're kind of like, well, alright, let's, like, work with this show new characters what they were going through during these events and, like, kind of make it cool. And there's episodes of Clone Wars that kind of help explain away, like, why... Like, okay, the prequels have set up that Anakin is, like, a super broody, jealous, terrible boyfriend. We can't unwrite that now, but let's, like, work with it and, like, explore it more, and then it could be really cool. And then, like, the stuff that you didn't like about continuity instead becomes, like, really rewarding for having stuck with it. Like, Star Wars The Clone Wars, I think, does so much to repair kind of any damage that the prequels did do to what we understood about Star Wars, and I'd really like a new show to do the same thing for the sequel trilogy. I don't want them to, like, do a new episode 7, 8, and 9. I know a lot of people aren't happy with how those movies went down, but I would rather they do the route like they did with Clone Wars, where they, like, explain it, and they're like, okay, I know, like, Padme Amidala, like, kind of went out, like, she was, like, super weak-willed, but we're gonna have a bunch of episodes of her being awesome now, and we're gonna make her into a more fleshed-out character. I'd rather see that done for, like, Finn and Rey and Poe. Don't know how I started talking about. Oh, well, because I think that's something that Sonic Frontiers does very well. Also, it's just crazy to see them talk about and refer to things that, like, we didn't even know were supposed to be canon. Like, I think it was pretty much understood that the Sonic Riders games were not canon, but then we have them, like, referring to the Babylon Rogues and things. So, like, yeah, I guess Jet the Hawk and Wave the Swallow and Storm the Albatross, like, do exist in continuity. Cool, okay. They also show up in the IDW comics, and they're pretty cool during the Metal Virus arc. We have a fight between the Babylon Rogues and one of the members of what do they call that group from Sonic Lost Worlds? I always want to call it the Sinister Six, but that's Spider-Man. The Deadly Six? Something less clever than Sinister Six. Having trouble with the physics of this object here. So here's a problem that, like, double jumping is on the same input as homing attacks, so sometimes you want to just do a second jump, but instead Sonic suddenly magnetizes to something in the environment. For the most part, I'd say the 2D sections control pretty well, though. And again, I like Sonic Generations a lot. I'd say Sonic Generations is probably one of my favorite Sonic games. Okay, so there's going to be a different Wisp that controls those blue rings eventually. There's going to be, like, the dark blue Wisp. I know about that one. Ooh, I do not like the physics on that guy. I do not like how these Lollipop swings work. Oh, it does not feel good. Am I supposed to be doing it at the height of the jump, or am I supposed to be doing it, like, at the highest velocity that it's moving? Yeah, I'm not super clear on that. Ugh. Like, to let go of the button and to go such a small amount of distance feels really bad. Alright, let's get these rings. I kind of just need to, like, think about it less. I need to stop trying to apply real-world physics to a Sonic game. That's always tough for me because I did go to college for engineering, and was pretty good at physics, if I dare say so myself. That was one of my better subjects. Alright, let's boost through these guys. Nice. So I can be kind of a stickler when the physics in a game don't work the way they should. So are we going to do, like, one world per episode? Is that how we want to handle this? Because that's kind of the timing that I'm going with here. How long have we been going for this episode? Like, 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm guessing this is, like, the second to last episode. I mean, the second to last act in the world. That'd be crazy if my Sonic Heroes Let's Play was 3 episodes. That would be possible if I, like, did how, like, some Let's Players do, where they really edit down to just, like, the good parts of their videos. And I always kind of admire when people go the extra mile like that. Alright, whatever. I'm not going to worry too much about the red rings. That's something I could see myself doing more in my free time, because, like, one thing I really liked about the new Super Mario Bros. Games was I liked trying to get all of the, like, big coins and levels like this has. But yeah, Tails has always been one of my favorite Sonic, has always been my absolute favorite Sonic character. Probably helps that he, like, is yellow and can fly. He's also the, like, player 2, and I think I have a bit of a, like, player 2 complex from, like, my first exposure to video games was playing them with my big sister before she, like, stopped really being interested in video games. So, like, I would be the person who would be made to play as Tails. But I had a connection with Tails that I didn't quite have with Luigi. So I don't know. Other Sonic characters I really like. I'm a big fan of Knuckles. I also think Knuckles can be, like, one of the... Knuckles is another character that I think can be handled really poorly in some Sonic media. I'm not even counting the, like, Sonic Boom universe, where, like, they make him the big stupid guy and the butt of a lot of jokes, but, like, those are, like, selectively funny jokes, so I'll let it go. There's, like, some decent bits in that. I've never watched the Sonic Boom cartoon, but I've seen lots of clips shared online, so that's kind of my understanding of that show. Very, very meme-worthy show. But yeah, I think what makes Sonic just such an interesting franchise is that there are so many, like, abject failures in the series, and then, like, some people will disagree with which games are, you know, complete failures or not, and there'll be, like, apologists for different games out there, and that makes the discourse about this series really interesting. But, I mean, even from the beginning, you had Sonic 3D Blast, you had, like, you know, Game Gear games that are really rough, like Sonic Labyrinth. Then you had people who, like... I know some real Sonic R defenders. But of course, like, the JonTron video came out then, like, making fun of Sonic R, so everybody was like, oh yeah, Sonic R is bad.
If I was an alien in need of saving, where would I be? Experience has taught me to investigate anything that glows.
Cool. Cookie ship. Cookie pirates.
This has also taught me that the best way to solve problems is to kick robot butt.
Visitors are cautioned to avoid eating, petting, or saving any aliens.
Excuse me, giant killer robot? You want to do this the hard way or the easy way?
And I'd say less giant killer robot.
Somehow I knew you'd say that. Let's dance.
There's something just, like, a little bit, like, stilted in the cinematography of this game. Like, this is what I'm talking about of, like, you know, like, from a base level, it, like, has less mistakes in it than are in, like, the Sonic Adventure 2 cutscenes. But also, like, the like, blocking of cutscenes is not as imaginative or dynamic. It's not as ambitious. It works better, but it's less ambitious. It's cleaner.
The battle's only just starting now that he's shown himself. Don't let him pressure you. Stay cool, then attack.
Okay. Okay, I do not have as many rings as I would like to have. So is this going to be a back and forth between, like, running through the ship sections and then, like, attacking him? Where did I go? Oh. Wait a second, this is the same map. I mean, that makes sense because it's the same ship, but... I don't know, I guess I just would have expected it to, like, change up on each phase. Alright, that's fine. I will say... this is a lot of stuff on screen and things aren't outlined very much. Like, if I'm nitpicking, and I am. Like, it's very hard for me to find my ring again. Okay. It's fun to bounce off all those little guys, though. Yeah, so I wonder if, like, the visual language, like, if they clear this up a little bit in the HD remake. Yeah, guys, I hope this footage looks alright. Oh, are you dead already? Oh, I was expecting, like, one more run through the pirate ship. Okay, I'm cool with that. I like how you can run around on the score screen, too. That kind of takes me back to, like,
Hey, Tails.
bouncing the sign on my head in the old Sonic games.
Best boss beating ever. So, has Yacker given you any more information or limericks or whatever it is he's spouting?
Well, first, remember, this translation stuff isn't 100%.
Trust me, I remember.
So anyway, these aliens are made up of a really powerful energy source called hyper-go-ons. It's inside of them.
Like a battery?
No. Well, sort of. It's their life source. You only got a taste of it. Look at what happened. Battery is sort of an understatement. Funny thing, it was first translating as horrible body odor. Anyway, it seems an evil man, and you might know him, who they call Baldy Nosehair.
Baldy Nosehair! That's the best thing I've heard all day. I gotta remember that one.
I know, I've already written it down. Anyway, he's draining them of their power, all their power, and using it for an evil aquatic mammal? An evil dolphin? No, a porpoise.
An evil purpose.
An evil purpose.
I get it.
That's good intel. Keep working on it.
Hey, where are you going?
To find Baldy McNosehair, of course. I'm totally calling him McNosehair.
Yeah, Tails' job in this, I mean, it's fine that he's not playable if you just, like, kind of need a support character. I like how it shows what wisps are in what worlds, too. That's kind of neat. Okay, so next time, then, we'll be heading to this little world, but that's where I'm going to call it here. So, I'm the Comic Foil. I hope you guys are inspired to share your, like, general Sonic thoughts in the comments, because, again, this is just such a big franchise worth talking about. But yeah, until next time, I'm the Comic Foil. I will see you later.
Like a parrot. significant by